Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm gratified in knowing that more and more people are finally realizing this thing called energy. It's been around since the beginning of us. It was here before we got here. Everything is energy. We're a different type of energy than, let's say, a pen or the chair you're sitting on. And once you realize what energy does and how it supports every one of us, it's amazing how you can heal, move your life forward, get answers. We're going to dig into that today, at least scratch the surface in the beginning. And that starts with the owner of a wonderful sacred space in Orange, Connecticut, Stardust Blessings Metaphysical and Stardust Blessings Social. And she is the woman behind it all. Michele Scalpi joins us on the program. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Very well. Very well. You do a lot in your sacred space there, from sound healing, Reiki, foot detox. What am I missing? What else you guys do there?
We do a Shirodara treatment, which is a stream of warm oil that goes over the third eye. It puts you into the most relaxing state you'll ever be in your life. It's getting a Shirodara treatment for, say, 30 to 40 minutes is like getting probably a good 5 hours of Reiki. It's the most unbelievable thing.
I have not heard of this. Even before you finished talking about it, I was like, get me in the chair. Fantastic. Yeah. So it's an oil that goes over your third eye?
Yep. They call it an urn. It's over your head, and the oil is heated to a certain temperature that is perfect for basically decalcifying and vibrating the third eye. And there's different Ayurvedics you could put on it depending on if you're looking for clarity, relaxation, anti-anxiety, anti-depression. There's different things you can put in there. And it's at a certain temperature, and it hits that and it rolls down your head. It feels like magic.
Wow. And more impactful than Reiki?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not a Reiki master, and I don't mean any disrespect to any Reiki masters, because I know ones that are absolutely amazing. But I've never had any treatment like the Shirodara, and I fell in love with it, so we started doing it here.
It piques my attention because I've had Reiki, fantastic. Most of it's virtual, and we'll get to some of the things that you can do virtually for anybody anywhere. But I was told by a Reiki master after a session that my third eye is kind of mucked up, and they cleared it out to about 60%. But they said, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just like, I can't get any more out of it. But then they said, you make up for it with your keen sense of spotting BS. So my handicap is I don't have a fully open third eye, but I make up it in other areas. But I'm wondering if how do you say that treatment again? The
Shirodara.
Shirodara.
Yep.
I wonder if that would open up the third eye.
It does. It helps vibrate the pineal gland while you're getting it done. There's sound techniques too you can use for your third eye that are amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm learning every day. This is great. Let's pivot over to sound. So sound healing, another modality. And for anybody, let's preface this by saying, yes, it gets a little woo-woo here. However, think of this. We all love music of some sort. We listen to music. Why? For a reason. We like the song. Makes us feel a certain way. What is music? Sound vibration. When you do sound healings, what are you doing? Making music to help somebody heal. Same exact thing. Yeah. And I know it's woo-woo. I'll tell you, it was 3 years ago, I went to a cacao ceremony using chocolate from tropical rainforest, very pure, little agave. You drink it. It's supposed to open up your senses and your mind. It wasn't like a high or anything. It was just like open awareness. I've never heard a sound bowl before. And they started that meeting with somebody just striking a bowl. Mm-hmm. And that was my aha moment. I felt like there was a hurricane flying through me. It was just so powerful. I'm like, oh, that's what that is all about.
Yeah.
And that's what you do to help people heal, right?
That's my main, that's me. I'm a sound therapist.
Oh, wow.
That's what I got into. I was a welder by trade. I did welding. for years. I got very, very sick at a certain time. I was sick for 2 years, couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Finally, right doctor, good time, good place, got a surgery, and I was on my way to healing. In that time, I ended up doing a lot of reading on like Tesla, and Tesla led me
Ah,
to other things that into frequency and sound, and that's I started to get very obsessed with it. I had 8 months to heal, so I was in bed for about 4 months after the
wow.
surgery.
Hmm.
So that's what I got into, and as I started using it, the results that I was getting just on my own body was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it.
369.
Yes, that's the
Hmm.
solfeggio bass beats.
Yeah. So Tesla, and by the way, thank you for that reminder. And it's probably maybe I'm going to do it tonight now that you said it. I have a book about him sitting on my coffee stand at home. A couple of books. Got maybe like 12 pages in. Got to go back to it. But it's about 369, and that's those numbers
Mm-hmm.
was his magic. How Tesla did all of his inventions, all of everything. And he
Yeah.
had hundreds of patents. There are some that believe that the discovery of electricity wasn't Edison.
Mm-hmm.
They were working together and Edison stole it from him, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Amazing man. And the king of manifestation.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mm.
studied a lot. I mean, I'm a Virgo. So
Oh,
Virgos,
well, me too.
oh, Virgos are very show me. So it was hard for me to wrap my head around manifestation and stuff. And now I'm very, very, very good at it.
Mm.
We've had a lot of trials and tribulations over the past like 12 years. And we just get back up and jam again.
Mm.
But the sound has been huge. I also adopted two boys. One is highly autistic, and the bowls have been incredible for helping him.
Wow.
We've seen just the magic of the sound therapy in our clients. I have a lot of clients that come twice a year is usually the unless somebody's spiraling and they want to come back and get. But usually they come around the holidays. They get very busy around the holidays because they're dealing with families, and that seems to be the time. And then springtime, I get slammed in the spring because everybody wants that fresh new start.
Mm. Wow. Um, I'm going to pivot for just a second, then we move off of Tesla. Did you know that Tesla's experiment facility, now a museum, is on
Mhm.
Long Island?
Yes.
It all began there. And then you're in Connecticut. It's a ferry ride across the water, the sound,
Yeah.
and you can check his stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know if you know, but when I share that with people, some of them, like what? But you're so close. I figured it might be on your radar, but other
I
people.
haven't I haven't been there yet. I went up to Wilhelm Reich. Wilhelm Reich is another amazing scientist that was into frequency and orgone energy. And I went up to Maine and saw his lab and museum and everything. It's
Wow.
phenomenal,
Yeah.
fascinating.
About a year and a half or so ago, there was a major fire at Tesla's facility, and it's where the Tesla coil is. They rebuilt one, but the fire set them back a little bit in terms of the museum, but they're working on refurbishing it.
Oh,
So
nice.
I am intrigued. You were a welder, and then you pivoted over to the world of energy healing. What was the aha moment for you, Michelle, that you said to you, this stuff works. Amazing.
When I had my surgery, like I made a lot of money in my day, working as a welder, and I basically lost everything when I got sick. I started to get sick and I couldn't work, and the more I couldn't work, the more I couldn't pay my bills, and I started losing everything I owned, and started selling off my welding equipment just to survive. So once that surgery happened and I started reading into this, the biggest aha moment was I've had a lot of women. It always seemed to have been older women around me in my lifetime, and I had addiction problems, alcohol and drugs, and I always had these women around me that were very spiritual. I don't know why, but they always said, Michelle, you have to learn to meditate. You got to slow down. They used to tell me, I go, I'm fine. I party like a rock star, show up to work every day.
Yep.
I was a functioning addict, but I was, had some issues. And finally, the meditation hit me. Like when I went through that surgery and I started reading about Tesla and learning, the meditation stuff all started to come back to me. And at the time, I didn't have one of those women around me. And I started meditating on my own. And it took some practice, but I dedicated myself for 10 minutes every night before bed and 10 minutes in the morning. And finally, I fell into that meditation for the first time. And it was the most incredible thing. That was my new addiction. And
Mm.
with that, I didn't want to touch alcohol anymore. Like it was very instant for me. I didn't want to touch drugs anymore. I started this path and then it just got into healing and everything else that went with it. And it's been like amazing journey.
I'm feeling you. And it's only been, I can relate to this in my journey the past 3 years. I've really hyper focused on all the stuff that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only been in the last like 4 months that you just said that this would trigger this before you go to bed. And that's my quiet time.
Yeah.
And I look forward to it.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm a baby and I want to get back in my crib.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like going back to the womb. It really is.
Yeah.
And it does take practice. And like I work with a lot of people here on that. And they say I can't meditate. My mind runs. My mind runs. And believe me, I was a very bad overthinker. And
You're a Virgo woman.
yeah. Yeah. I was always 10 steps ahead of everything and 10 days ahead in my mind of what I had to do for the next 10 days. But it just takes some practice of trying to be quiet, and eventually your brain just one day it'll just be quiet, and you're like, "Hey, what's this sound? There's no
Right.
sound. What's going on?"
I totally get it. By the way, I want to clarify one thing. I am a Virgo as well, but I'm a reformed Virgo, meaning I let go of all of that stuff, the perfectionism.
Absolutely.
I
An awakened Virgo is much different than because I am a totally different person than what I was.
That's
Very,
me.
very different.
100%. And when you realize, these chains that the Virgo has, and it doesn't matter what sign you are, you could be a perfectionist and, all of that. Once
Yeah.
you let it go, it's almost as if you're a superhero. You realize like, whoa, look what I got. Yeah,
My
pretty cool.
my my first spiritual shirt was the Buddha, and it said, "Let that shit go."
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on here. So.
All good, all good. Yeah, but it's so true. Um, Meditation. What's a secret? What's your secret?
Yeah, my secret to getting there was I went on YouTube and I basically found I was looking for something around 10 minutes and I found something that I resonated with. It was a guided meditation. It ended up to be like 12 minutes and say 30 seconds. And I listened to that every night. And
Mm, mm.
so if
The
I
same
hear
one, the
the
same
same
piece.
one. Yep. Because you have to know that your brain is a computer. Your brain is a computer and you're retraining it. And like
Sure.
water on a rock, wearing down a rock, you're wearing down frequencies and things that are going through your brain. And you're rewiring your brain to think a different way. So using the same meditation that is short and nothing long. A lot of people try to sit for half an hour at first. It's not going to work. So using those shorter meditations that you resonate with and you just sit and listen to it, when you start doing that every day, your brain is like, what's going on? Then it kind of gets to the point where your brain is like, well, I'm just going to be quiet now because this is what we do now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's how I got my brain to stop. And to this day, that was God, like 14 years ago now.
Wow.
To this day, if that particular meditation comes on, I can go into instant meditation without even trying. It just
Mm.
my eyes glaze over and I'm gone.
Quick story based on what you just said and the 10 minutes. I'm in a men's group. They made me the shaman. So like I just take information from people like you and just spread it, regurgitate it. And last week I had my segment, the shaman moment, but there's an out ahead. And it could be a fun event. We go outside and play football for 10 minutes. We'll play Cards Against Humanity for 10 minutes just to get you out of your head.
Yeah.
And it was my turn to do the out ahead last week. And I let the universe tell me what we're going to do. And I said, all right, guys, you know what we're going to do here today? And one of them says, we're not going to meditate, are we? I'm like, you're damn straight we're going to meditate. And I found something online and I just pressed the button. I said, and here we go.
Yeah.
When it was over, every single one of them said, they couldn't even believe it. Like, oh my God, that was so good. That
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I never thought it was going to be that good.
Yeah.
And they were pushing, they were resisting it.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying that it's you listen to the same one over and over again because I'd be thinking like, let me top that. Let me find another one. You know what I'm going to do tonight? I am going to go back to the 10, it's literally 10 minutes,
Yeah.
the same one I played for them. And I'm going to listen to it again because it was really good. It had nature sounds, and I was just like, you close your eyes, you get into a certain zone.
Yeah.
Um, and to your point, I once did a podcast with somebody who studied with monks, great
Okay.
meditators.
Yeah.
And then I asked him, how long does it take you to? I couldn't even finish the sentence. And he turns around to me and says, 3 seconds to get
Yeah.
into a meditative state, just
Yeah.
like you said you do. Like it's just,
Yeah.
you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's incredible how but like I said, I've done a lot of study on the brain, um, because as a Virgo, I have to understand everything and I have to understand the schematics of everything. I can't just say, oh, this is positive energy and this is negative energy. I have to understand how it all works and how it all works in our body. So I've done a lot of study, and the
Hmm.
brain is a big key to all of that. um the yourself, like the perception of self, is the master key to everything. And the only way for you to get to know yourself and get around your ego is to go into meditation, because the only thing we know until we get into meditation, the only thing we know is our ego. I knew everything about my ego. I knew nothing about myself.
Yeah. And you
So,
got to literally quiet the noise. And what's the ego doing?
oh, yeah, I used to, yeah, I use humor a lot. I grew up in an Italian family, so everybody was always yelling. So that, using humor for me, like I yell, get to the back of the bus, Scalpi. I
Yep.
call my ego Scalpi. And it's just things, though, to break those brain patterns that are going. And if you can use humor or use something like that to just break that pattern, it's amazing how quickly it will break,
Wow.
because the ego just like, oh, that's how it's going to be from now on. And if you keep doing that, it shuts it down.
Mm. And when we say ego, that word gets tossed around a lot.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad
No,
thing, your
no,
ego.
no.
It's there to support you.
The thing with the ego is, what happens is the ego controls us, which is, it's basically the programmed self that you got programmed into this world. It's how your parents brought you up, what they taught you, what your teachers and everything has taught you in life. But then when you discover yourself inside and you start to understand yourself and why you do things, you start to see the world very differently. You start to understand why you react a certain way, and then you understand why other people react a certain way. And it's game changing. Like the way I deal with problems is nothing like most people do, and it is not anything like I used to deal with problems. It's a whole different perception. It's like being above the chessboard and watching everything that goes on, because you know inside how you're reacting and why you're reacting and why these people are reacting that way.
When you say that you figured it out, are we also referring to like shadow work, the inner child?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Well,
also part of what we're talking
in
about?
meditation, the more you spend in meditation, the more you get to know yourself. There was memories that came through my meditations that I
Wow.
didn't even remember. And then you
Hmm.
start to heal those things. There was times in meditation that I started crying uncontrollably because something in my past came up in meditation, and it was meant to come up because I needed to heal it, because that's what was causing a lot of my problems. And I
Wow.
never associated it with, because it was something that I shoved down inside me and I didn't want to deal with.
For me, that was hypnotherapy. Um, but even when I met the practitioner and it was virtual, the first thing I said was, take me back to my childhood. Let's go. And not that there was anything wrong, but there, I know there's things there that pilot me as an adult.
Yeah.
And that's where I saw those images and got emotional, everything. Never knew that could happen during a meditation. So, can't wait
Yeah.
to try that. because you get answers. You know,
Yeah, you do get answers to everything. And almost everything I've asked for answers, like stuff I didn't understand, it was so crazy. Like in the beginning, it's almost like spirit wants you to, keep coming back. So you get answers in the beginning. Once you start really making that your practice and you go in, you ask a question, you might not get it right then and there, but you might wake up the next morning and know the answer. And that's what started happening with me. Like I would ask questions or want to remember things or want to be shown something, and it would happen for me. A lot of the things that I have a very deep understanding was shown to me in meditation. There's things with my sound therapy practice that I've done that I learned in meditation. They're not written in any books. Nobody taught me how to do it, but they work so effectively. It's crazy.
you know, you get answers too. Like, and that old phrase, let me sleep on it.
Yep. Yep.
So I need to buy a car. I've looked at one yesterday, put a deposit on it, but I'm pretty much there.
Yeah.
And I said, thank you. Have a great night. I'm leaving, and I'm going to sleep on it. And that's what I did. And
Yeah.
I meditated. I'm going to do a little bit more, making sure, bigger purchase. I want to make sure it's the right one. But I already got that feeling like, yeah, you're good. You're good. And
Yeah.
that's the one. Um, all of you have opened the door to more in meditation than many people have talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, the I can tell you a quick story.
Sure.
I had a very good friend of mine. It was actually my brother's best friend. Had come up from Florida. He had been in a horrible truck accident. He drove truck and somebody went through a red light going, like 80 miles an hour. The man ended up passing away. That hit the truck, went under it. He got kind of messed up from the accident, was going to doctors, nothing was helping his pain. He happened to been driving truck up in Connecticut and asked if he could swing in and get a session with me. I went in and did a session with him. And, I've known this guy for 20 some years. I love him to death. He's like my brother. Didn't think about like cleansing myself afterwards. I was so happy to see him. He wanted to go to dinner after. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Fast forward, I started getting premonitions after he left and never associated with him that I was going to get T-boned in a car accident. And I kept getting the same premonitions at the same place around my work where our original Stardust was. And this went on for about 6 months. And I kept saying, no, I don't need an accident. I don't want that. Why is this attracting into me? And I kept letting it go. But I never cleansed myself from his session that I did with him, and I must have had his energy on me. I ended up coming into work, and sure enough, I got T-boned out of nowhere. And thank God I didn't get hurt, not a scratch. The car was totaled, but I did not have a scratch on me. And I couldn't understand it at first. I'm like, there's no way I manifested that. Like sometimes you just like, because I know this routine so well of how to keep things right. And I went to bed and I asked the universe to show me how that happened, because it was 6 months after the fact. And I went to sleep that night and I woke up, and the first thing when I opened my eyes in the morning, I saw my brother's best friend and I saw the truck accident, and I went, oh my God, I never cleaned myself. Like I saw the whole thing just flash before my eyes as soon as I woke up the next morning.
Wow. That can be a whole other podcast about energy vampires and bad energy around. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the meditation too, meditations keep you clean. You know what I mean? But when you're doing actual energy work, you should be cleaning yourself every time. It was a lesson to me.
Wow. I find more and more as life goes on, and maybe I'm aware of this stuff, that I need space. Like just, even being near somebody, whether, you love them or not, it doesn't matter who it is. It's you're giving your energy to them. And I'm starting to feel that you only got so much. So now you're taking some energy, you're taking what's left. After a while, you need a reset,
Yeah. We have 2 boys in the house. We just got a new baby that's coming this afternoon. That was a little surprise for us today. The bio mother had another baby. So we have 2 boys that we adopted, and I have my partner, which I'm engaged to at home. We both need our own time, and we both try to make sure each other has it.
When you said baby, do you mean baby?
baby. We just found out. Like, I set this all up with you doing the podcast, and we just found out. I've been in the hospital like around the clock for the last few days.
Wow. Oh my.
So didn't expect it. I looked up and I said, I'm getting old, right?
Yeah, I say I got a 16-year-old. That's my youngest, and I'm a single dad. I'm like, so I was like, whoa.
Yeah. My biological daughter's 24. So, and then, we did this, and we have a 9-year-old, a 3-year-old, and now a newborn.
My gosh. Wow. I got an older one who's 29, going to be 30. But it all works out. You ask for the answers. So much to talk about. I want to get into the foot detox. I always wondered about that. So maybe next time when we get together, and definitely sound. Definitely we got to do maybe a quickie sound healing session if possible.
Oh, absolutely. That would be amazing.
Michele, what's your website if somebody wants to learn more?
We're at stardustblessingsmetaphysical.com.
Stardustblessingsmetaphysical.com. Yeah. And somebody goes there, they can reach out to you. Let's say they're not around Orange, Connecticut, where your sacred space is, but let's say somebody wants a sound healing, whatever, or just pick your brain or ask questions. They can find you anywhere using the website.
I have to add the Patreon on there. It's fairly new. We have a huge online presence. We're rebuilding a page on TikTok now that's Stardust_social 2.0. So we're starting to rebuild on TikTok now, but we have a huge following. They go on our Patreon, and I do 1-hour sound therapy sessions every Monday night at 9 p.m. If you miss the session, you can go. It's a $10 tier. We only charge $10 a month. That's $2.50 per week, for you to get sound therapy. It's never an hour. I always go over because I always make sure it's amazing to me. And we'll talk about it more on the next one, that you can actually do virtual sound therapy. And I can focus the sound, which I didn't know was possible till COVID, and people started asking me.
Wow.
So that was a whole nother opening up. So we do that on Patreon for $10 a month, and that's worldwide. You could be anywhere and do it.
Love it.
It's expensive.
Wonderful talking with you. I knew you were deep. I didn't know you ran that deep, and a lot of insight, even on meditation. And I mean this when I say it. I'll see you in my dreams because I'm looking forward to meditating tonight again, but with a different intention based on our conversation. And I'll bet that's opened the eyes to many about the benefits of what's going on there, getting in touch with yourself and more. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it. And
thank you.
Looking forward next time we get together.
Okay, me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.